All right, Neil, you've got those shoes in front of you again. This is the third time. What's going on? Have they got a white version yet?
They do have a white version.
Yes.
Yes. Let's get that out of the cat out of the bag before we go anywhere. These are prototypes which have been sent to me for testing. So they printed them in black for me, but they do have white.
You like black, don't you?
Not really. I'd much prefer white.
White,
would
you now?
Yeah, white is definitely faster. But look, the black ones do really well. This is the Law 3, so this is the latest version of the Law shoe range from Drake Labs in the United States. These guys are sort of a multinational conglomeration, I guess, of experts who've been producing these, and these are, I think, the final iteration. This is a completely 3D printed, custom-made shoe, so we take a three-dimensional scan of your feet using a depth sensing camera, and then we send it off to the guys, and they print the shoe. So this one
has to be done through like a bike shop though, or something like that, or a bike fitting expert.
I believe they're actually working on a scanner that you can use with your camera phone.
Oh, wow, okay.
But ideally what we would use is use a proper depth sensing camera, which I'm going to scan your feet later, and we'll get some B-roll of that, and I'll show you how that works. But ideally we would use that to get you the most accurate scan possible, so that they fit perfectly. And why do they need to be custom made? Because they are easily the stiffest shoe in the world ever made. They are ridiculous. They are so stiff. These are made with carbon fiber struts, and the top is made out of TPU, which is they've gone with a more flexible TPU around the toe box, so plenty of movement around the toes. And you'll notice, compared to the Law 2, a strap system. So they've got, this is the watts, they call this one, the high cut version, which has got a really interesting high sort of design here with these two medial and dorsal pads across the front of the ankle joint. And the top strap cinches these down onto the front of your ankle joint. And that's where most of the difference is. I guess there's so many differences with a regular shoe, it's not funny, but that's where most of the power transfer comes from, that's so different with this shoe compared to a regular shoe. So your foot is kind of cinched back into this extraordinarily rigid heel cup, which is perfectly molded to your foot, and it basically stabilizes your foot through the back half of the ankle joint. So when you get out of the seat and yank on the pedal, there is absolutely no forward give of your foot inside the shoe, where there would be typically with a typical flexible tongue shoe. And this is where a lot of the power transfer improvements come from with these. So my suspicion, my early thoughts when they went to the strap system, I really wasn't sure about this. The old version, the Law 2, had a pair of BOAs. This is actually better. It is a little bit harder initially when you put them on to fine tune the exact pressure from the straps, whereas a BOA's got that beautiful little incremental click that you can change the tension, but once you get them nailed down, and you do usually do that in the first minute of your ride or so, it is a better system. It is much lighter and it's much more aerodynamic. It's got a much more lower profile
than the 2.
The 2, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Before you keep going, I have to ask you about the price, because there's a lot of people that they point out the price when you mention it on these shoes. Like, how much are they worth?
Yeah, they're not cheap. I think the guys are finalising the pricing as we speak, but I think they're around the top shelf one, the carbon one, that $1,500 US, and the ones below that are a little bit cheaper again. So if you go with a nylon low cut, the Legend Pro, this is actually my favourite one, generally speaking. It's a little bit more comfortable for me than this one. If you've got demand for absolute maximum power transfer under all circumstances, the watts, this one they call the watts, which is the high cut version, this is the best.
So how do you
a little bit more comfy.
How does someone justify that price point? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so it's a good question. We've done a lot of testing on these. I've tested mine extensively versus other pairs of shoes that I've got, including some Bond Vapors and some Lakes and that sort of stuff. And generally speaking, what I'm seeing is a 50 to 70 watt power increase in my maximal sprint. Now, my maximal sprint effort is pretty low, so this as a percentage of my overall
it's not, mate. It's actually really good.
It's pretty bad. Let's not beat around the bush here.
I think it's worse than mine.
It is worse than yours, and it's still in 3 figures most of the time. You know, I struggle to crack 1,000 watts, but there's no way I can crack 1,000 watts in my Bonts or my Lakes. But with this shoe, in particular, the high cut version, I can do it fairly repeatably. So there is for me, it's about a 6 or 7% peak power increase, and about over a 30-second effort, because of the better power delivery that these shoes give you from being so rigid, so stiff, and so controlled through the back half of the ankle joint. I'm seeing sort of increases in my 30-second power of about 40 or 50 watts. typically, yeah, which is quite a lot. So I highly recommend them if you're after the stiffest shoe in the world with the best power transfer. These are amazing. They are unbelievable. They are not cheap.
I think last time you compared them to carbon wheels.
Yes.
You know, how people spend $2,000 on a set of carbon wheels for performance gains, sometimes more.
Yeah.
So that's how people should be looking at these, because what's your typical shoe? 300 to 500.
Yeah.
So it's about 3 times that amount.
Yeah, so in Australian dollars, you could, I see people spending $900 on some Nimbles sometimes, or $500-600 on some Bonts, that sort of thing, for a really high-end race shoe. But if you're after the absolute best of the best, and you want ultimate power transfer and the gains that come with that, the efficiency gains, but also the peak power gains, I think this is a better investment than a similarly priced pair of carbon wheels. I think you'll get more out of these than you will out of the carbon wheel for the same price. They are that good. So yeah, an amazing piece of technology, and just a refinement of the Law 2. These guys have been working on the fit algorithm of them a lot over the last couple of years or so, and they have just nailed them. There is another advantage which I should talk about. When I run these shoes, due to the low stack height, mine are sort of native speed play, but you obviously can get them with 3-bolt as well, and they've also got a mountain bike version now, which has just come out, which is a 2-bolt version. The stack height of the shoe is so low that I can actually run my seat 6 millimeters lower than I typically do. And when my seat goes down 6 mil, there's a little bit of an aerodynamic advantage associated with that. But yeah, the main thing is the power transfer. It is unbelievable. They are crazy stiff. Yeah.
What about from a bike fitter's perspective though, and just fitting people in shoes all the time? Like, what's the benefit of having that shoe? It's just talking about comfort and getting somebody symmetrical on the bike versus a typical shoe.
Yeah, it's a good question. There's two components to the answer. One of them is the fit. So if you've got really unusual feet that have got like a hammer toe or a clawed toe or a bunion or something, it doesn't matter. The shoe is printed around your foot, so it's never going to be uncomfortable in that sense. So if you've got a very odd foot that's struggling in various different types of regular sort of fitting shoes, this is not going to be an issue on this shoe, right?
Okay.
So there's
Is it going to be an advantage or just not an issue?
Just not an. It removes fit issues.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so if you've got a weird foot, that doesn't matter because we just print the shoe around your foot. And the second one is the complex at the back of the shoe, which is so different to a regular shoe, with these dorsal and medial pads and the ultra stiff heel cut. A lot of my, I would say probably 1 in every 3 clients comes through with a major asymmetrical movement pattern on the bike, which has its roots in what I would call foot instability, which can be a combination of an arch support problem, old ankle sprains, laxity in the ligaments, whatever. This shoe, from the few the few people that we've fitted with it so far, seems to remove all of that, because the whole ankle joint is held rigidly through this rear cup system, and there's no sort of pronation of the rear foot, there's no instability, so they can actually improve symmetry quite markedly. They do for me. I've got a little bit of this problem, and when I wear these, I feel significantly more symmetrical on the bike. Yeah, and they're a really amazing product.
Yeah, I mean, you've been banging on them about them that much that I'm now going to have a pair.
Right, we're going to get you a pair.
I was a bit apprehensive, particularly with the black. With the white.
Yeah, we'll get you the white ones. White's always faster, mate. Yeah. We've got to decide whether we want the high cut or the low cut. You'd be fine with either. Sort of depends what you want to use it for. We'll talk about that later today, and we'll scan your feet. But yeah, an amazing piece of gear. And we're heading over, I'm heading over to Switzerland in the next couple of weeks to try and fit a couple of the riders over there with some of these shoes and work on some of their positioning problems. So yeah, we might have a little bit more to talk about after that trip is done.
Yeah, right. What riders? Can you tell us, or is that secret?
I think that might be super secret squirrel business.
Okay.
But there's some names.
I know what pro teams in Switzerland.
Well, there's no pro teams in Switzerland.
Yes, there is.
So there's these guys. They've got some riders with some challenges with their feet, and
geez, you really are going deep with these guys.
Yeah. Fantastic product. It's been 5 years in the making, and I think this is going to be their final iteration. I believe the guys might be bringing out some cheaper variants of these in the next couple of months to a lower price point, but they are just fantastic. Yeah, really highly recommend this product. Not cheap, as you say, but in terms of the upgrades that I see people spending thousands of dollars on their bike with, this has got to be right at the top of the list for me.
Wow. Thanks for your time.
No worries at all, mate.